On August 15th, 1998, the iMac was released, and that just so happened to be a little over a month before I was born. Instantly, it was a huge success and it revolutionized the computing industry. Instead of a floppy disk drive, it featured different USB ports and other ports, as you can see in this image, because Steve Jobs felt that the floppy disk drive was outdated and he was seeking to be an innovator in the computing industry. And the iMac was a huge indicator of that innovative genius. When it was released, the marketing was huge. There was radio broadcasts, TV shows, billboards. They released a new slogan, "I think, therefore iMac." And it, marked a huge changing point for Apple as a company as a whole. For all of that and more, such as the fact that it was a major stepping off point for Apple's success as a company in general, I chose the iMac to base my presentation on. Now, following the iMac, Apple continued to release innovative technologies: the iPad, the iPhone, the smartwatch, the iPod. Those were all different options that Apple released after the iMac. They also continued innovating the way that they treated the iMac in general. It slimmed down, its interface became more user-friendly, more applications were offered as products that could be used on the iMac. Apple just continued to be the first of its kind to release different products and to be a point to look at for innovation. There have been a lot of changes in Apple over the past few decades. As we all know, Steve Jobs passed away in 2011, but up until that point, he continued to be the focal point of the company. He would demonstrate all of his products at their launches. He would be the one to present the new products to investors, to customers. He would be the hype man behind all of Apple's products, and he stayed that way until the very end. He was dedicated to the company, and he continued to be, a beacon, a face of innovation for Apple. To bring it back to the iMac, over the years it has continued to develop, as I mentioned, but initially it was the first all-in-one desktop, and there was a bunch of bright colors that it was released in that was very exciting for users. As you saw in the first one, there was a nice indigo blue. There was also the iconic lighter blue, the more teal color, came in pink, green, I believe. There was a few other options, and that was really exciting for users. It really humanized the computer. It had those USB ports, no floppy drives. Again, that was the innovation. Steve Jobs believed that it was becoming outdated, and it was. It ended up disappearing completely. Most people, just think of a floppy drive as the save icon on Microsoft Word. The interface was very user-friendly. It was easy to use for people of all ages. That was really what they were going for, marketing it for everybody to be able to use it. It was able to be connected to the internet and marketed to people of all ages to be able to use the internet to communicate, to network, to bring their lives into the future. In the more modern iterations, it still has all this functionality, but as I had mentioned before, there are all these new apps, there are all these new programs. There's even a book, iMac for Dummies, that can help even the most entry level of users be able to learn the system and be able to succeed with it. all that considered and more, it just demonstrates how the iMac was a revolutionary product. It really changed Apple as a company. It was a huge stepping off point, and it has remained a part of Apple's legacy to this day. As of 2018, we are 20 years past the release of the iMac, and it looks completely different now, but the core idea is still the same. It still has that user friendliness, it still has very easy functionality, and it still is a revolutionary product. That you mentioned iMac, iPhone, iPod, iPad, anything everybody knows that you're talking about Apple. And all of that was largely thanks to the 1998 release of the iMac.